episode of Conversations with Women Achievers in Science. Today, we celebrate the inspiring journeys of women who have not only excelled in their fields but have also driven groundbreaking innovations shaping the future of science. India has a rich history of empowering women in science, from 19th century scholar Ramabai, who championed women's education and founded schools to promote literacy and scientific learning, to modern pioneers like Dr. Indira Hinduja, a gynecologist who delivered the first test tube baby in India in 1986. These trailblazers have not only advanced knowledge but inspired generations, reflecting India's enduring commitment to celebrating women's intellect and leadership. Prime Minister Modi's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat aligns with this legacy, emphasizing the importance of women in driving innovation. Initiatives like Women in Science schemes and STEM programs aim to break barriers, ensuring an ecosystem where women's full potential is realized, especially in science and technology. In this episode, we'll hear from two extraordinary women who have made transformative contributions and continue to lead in their individual fields. Their stories remind us that empowering women in science unlocks a future of limitless possibilities. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce our esteemed guests today. First, we have Dr. Mamta Hunt, a distinguished leader in the field of molecular biology. Dr. Hunt's work has been instrumental in understanding the molecular mechanism of disease, paving the way for novel therapeutic approaches. Her groundbreaking research has opened new doors for drug development, improving lives around the globe. Next, we welcome Ms. Indira Negi, an electrical engineer by training. She is the founder of Enginiosity and is a consultant for Gates Foundation and Global Health Labs and has 5 patents. Ms. Negi is working on AI ultrasound focused on labor monitor devices and software that can help with early diagnosis and reduce risk during pregnancy and labor. Prior to this, she worked at Intel for over a decade, leading the sensors engineering team for wearable devices, serving in engineering and business roles, and leading strategy and planning for the health and life sciences business unit. What's truly remarkable is the diversity of our guests today. Both of them come from a different branch of science, yet they have carved a niche for themselves, embodying the spirit of innovation, resilience, and progress. It's an honor to have you both here. I'd like to begin with a question that I'm sure many are curious about. What first inspired you to pursue a career in science? Was there a particular moment, experience, or early influences that ignited that spark in you?
My inspiration started very early when my mother was a nurse, a pediatric nurse, and I saw her crying at home because a baby was sick and poor mother has to deal with that. I was around 6 years old. I remember my father saying, "But your kids are okay. Why are you crying?" I said, "Yeah, but there was a mother." So my early journey started with that I want to make an impact on the world.
Yeah, I think similar, right? It's like the older you get, the more you realize that the reasons all go back to your childhood. So my mom is a science teacher, and I think I was curious, like all kids are, but every time I'd have like a curiosity-driven sort of quest, a mission where I needed to find an answer. Um, I could access all of her knowledge. So, like, if in class 6, I want to know how gravitational forces work and the orbits work and planets, I would have like the class 10th books on universe to read. And so I feel like I became addicted to this sort of video game of life. Find a question, struggle to find the answer, and then you're rewarded with that answer. And that is such a rewarding moment. And again, I feel like it's a video game. You just level up and then you find the next quest. So more than a decision, I think it was more like it became the default for my life. And then there was nothing that threw me off the path, luckily.
What I hear is very fascinating. So both of you were inspired by women, strong women and compassionate women. But I think growing up and this journey itself couldn't have been easy. So what I hear from both of you is the home supported, but like elsewhere, did you experience any barriers or biases or societal expectations?
I grew up in 1960s in India. My parents decided to send me to convent school. There was a big no-no there. My family members, extended family, was really upset that they're spending time and energy and money on a woman. It started from there. I had a very strong father who said, I really don't care, I'm going to continue. So that was my first challenge. I decided to go to microbiology and I completed microbiology. Another big event was I got married and I went to America. While I was the only person working in the family, I had my in-laws with me and I was expected to be a housewife when I come home. So I started working at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll take a bus to work 30 miles away. I will run to work. Then I'll finish the work at 2:30 afternoon, come running back to the bus stop and come back, even during my pregnancy. And sometimes you get to sit in the bus, sometimes you don't. So that was my second challenge. But when my second son was born, I realized that I don't want my boys to be controlling men. I want my boys to grow up respecting women. My younger baby was 6 weeks old. I packed and I left. And I started from scratch with zero money. My baby slept on the floor. And that's where I built up. 10 months later, I bought a house. My mother came, of course, mother came and supported me with that. And I went back to school. I had 3 jobs for 11 years. I went back to school, did my master's, I did my PhD, and raised 2 boys as a single mother. However, today, one is 36 and 28, and I'm so proud of what I did. When their wives come and tell me, you have done an amazing job raising boys, that's my biggest reward in science.
Yes, amazing, amazing.
Thank you for sharing that, Mamta ma'am. This is so inspiring. It is really hard to defy sort of societal expectations like that and walk out on your own. You know, being a woman in a room that's used to being full of men, and you're just a rare quantity. I think everybody just thinks you're in the wrong place, and people will initially assume you're there to take notes or you are assisting the meeting, and so you have to constantly be proving yourself to every new group of people you meet. But I think the way, at least I found, to overcome, there is no hack. I think you just have to outwork them. Uh, but I would say the positive side of this is once you outwork the low expectations they set for you, um, and you don't have to be the best, right? You, if you are even the second best, right, you have defied expectations so far that now you build a reputation, and then they all tell each other that yeah, she's a girl, but she's really good at this. And the positive thing about that is reputation compounds like compound interest. And so after a while, people think you're some like genius because their starting expectations of you are so low. But there's no hack. Like, you just have to work a lot. And I think that's true even for men, right? If you want to stand out, you just have to work. When things get hard, you don't abandon them. You just keep at it.
Absolutely. So I think claim of my fame, and that's where I kind of start. I was working with Kerry Mullis on the PCR project when he got Nobel Prize. And I brought HIV kit to India in 1997 for specialty Ran Bakshe. And we started running HIV PCR in-house. That was kind of my reward in professional part. But talking with an accent, being a woman in America is also not easy. Right. And you are right, Indira. I was actually going to say that myself. In 2007, when I was interviewing for a company, an interviewer said, hey, Mamta, you're not white or black, and you are a woman. How are you going to manage international team? So for a second, I thought and I said, well, they're going to underestimate me, and I'm going to work towards my advantage. So you are absolutely right, Indira. Take advantage of underestimation and show them what you can do. You have to prove and prove and prove yourself. Having said that, I do say that gray hair helps, crease helps. I love being 60 plus because now I can say whatever I want and people have to stop and listen. So
Since my 20s, I have been wearing fake glasses and doing actual sort of like white mascara in my hair and like some when every time I'm going to meet like a new group of mostly men, I try to make myself look older. I
yes.
also have been always saying, yes, I'm almost 30, I'm almost 40 when I'm like in my 20s and 30s.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's very true.
And it's truly inspiring to hear how each of you have turned challenges into opportunity. And here I also want to understand the role of mentorship, that played. So we all know that no human being is immune to the positive effects of mentorship. So, with that in mind, did you both have any mentors you felt who were responsible in helping you carve a niche for yourself despite all odds?
I always tell the new generation that, when you find a good manager, never ever change the job because it's hard to find people who believe in you. If somebody believes in you, you stick with them because you make an impact. For 13 years in my first job, I was working like a dog and just kind of progressing slowly. Then there was a new manager that came from East Coast, Dr. Kevin Reagan. He realized the potential I had. He went to the owner, it was a private company, he went to the owner and said, all this test that is developed and all this improvement is done by Mamta. And my life changed completely. That's when I found somebody who believed in me. That's when I got the strength to leave my abusive family and be myself. Even today, I just got a call yesterday from an investor calling me and said, Dr. Kevin Reagan gave me your name and said, Mamta has a lot of knowledge, check with them, right? So, yes, mentorship, mentors, when you identify, I think it's a two-way relationship, right? There are people that are out there, but you also have to understand where they're coming from. You have to find a person who believes in you and you stick with them, and that's 60% of the work.
I cannot resonate stronger with what you have said. Yeah, I'd like to say that there is like maybe a slight distinction between someone who wants to mentor and someone who wants to actually be a champion. And what you're looking for are those mentors who will actually take an action on your behalf, which is, recommend you somewhere, make that call. Um, because I think what I experienced, because I was like sort of a sole female in a 40-person team, and when I started to work hard and get things done, everybody kind of wanted to become my mentor. So you have to find which ones are the action oriented folks. And same thing, I think, my first job, like Mamta ma'am, I worked really hard, but my boss always was like, oh, yeah, this, I was the youngest, I was female. And he was like, yeah, she has to take her time and like know her place. And he was like, the success you have is because you're charming. That type of stuff is like really offensive, right? But
Yeah.
then, yeah, like I got a new manager and he was like, yeah, what you're doing is unbelievable. And he put me in front of like VPs and the CEO and made promises that I would solve a problem that I was freaking out. I was like, I don't think that, I don't know if I can do that. But yeah, that's what it takes. You work harder to prove them right because they believed in you. And
Yes.
then you shock yourself and find out that you were actually capable. And then you believe in yourself from then on.
What was heartening for me to hear is both of you had, as luck would have it, mentors who were not women, but they did
Yes.
believe
Yes.
in you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think just as you were supported or mentored, I wanted to also ask you, have you been able to extend this role or this knowledge and this, being able to mentor other women?
I mean, I have 40 years of experience. That in my journey, I have several proteges, so to speak, that has either followed me from one job to another. I led AVIN, Amgen Women Internal Network. There is a difference between men and women in a way where accepting what they are different and then working together, right? Not identifying as a different. And that's the philosophy I was trying to bring in. And so we started that AV network. I was part of that team. And over time, I can actually point out many people that are in high position. I have protege works for FDA. I have a VP who actually called me when she was getting promoted. She said, I just want to thank you. You started the foundation. That's very humbling experience, very humbling. And I would like to continue do it if I get opportunity. That's the legacy I think we leave behind.
I notice, I think, that there is a broader shift in society. Mamta ma'am, I think when you were starting out, if there was place for women, there was place for one woman at the table. And so there was actually a lot of intra women rivalry at that time because you would have to fight for that one
Yeah.
woman at the table role. And
Mhm.
I think as more and more women have gained sort of power in society through, their work and all, there seems to be like this interwoman rivalry is going
College.
away. Women are like starting to make allies with other women. And I think it's amazing. You can actually see it in societally, in cultures and stuff. You can see how Taylor Swift will support like Selena Gomez. And, that used to never happen, right? 20 years ago, like they would be doing cat fights. And so I think the same thing is happening at work, right? Now you can form strong allyships with peer women and not be worried that there's only room for one of us to get promoted. So I love that aspect of the society that we're in now because that was not how society was even when I started working like 15 years ago. When I hire brilliant young men or women, you can already see the huge difference in the level of confidence they feel in their own abilities. Young men are hanging out in circles and they're all like sort of showing each other what they've built. They come with this pre-built confidence. Whereas the young women who are capable of the same things somehow don't believe they're capable of it. So they're shy in asking for their early sort of salary negotiations. They're shy about promotions, and it's almost like you have to spend time with them showing them how they are capable compared to their peers, and have them fight for it and have them be willing to shine in a larger setting in front of seniors. So I spent a lot of time doing that because in my first job my boss was like, know your place and stay there. And I want the young women that I hire to feel like the world is malleable, like they can affect the change they want. They're not some passive people sitting in a train that just is going without their control.
Amazing. Thank you. So studies show that women are given opportunity to lead. They bring fresh perspectives that can transform entire fields. In fact, there's a research by McKinsey and Company that shows that women in decision-making roles are likely to perform 21% more than their competitors. Since women bring fresh perspective, as we explore this broader impact of women in science, have you witnessed firsthand women that how women's participation has led to transformative breakthrough in your own field?
This is my personal experience in multiple companies I've worked in. When you have a man in charge of making a process improvement, they would go in a room, make the reprocess the map, and come out and tell this is how it's going to be done. And so it's a 50-50 chance of being implemented because there is human element to any changes and or updates, right? When women does that, and I'm actually Six Sigma black belt, so I have my personal experience in there. But when women lead it, they bring everybody together. We collect everybody's opinion, we collect everybody's experience, and we try to have an all-inclusive way of making and impacting change. That change takes only 10 minutes because when they go out, they own it, men or women, because they're part of the decision making team. They own the change and then they can impact the change. For example, I was working in a company where we had a product that we had to file for BLA. We brought the team together. I said, guys, we have a problem. There is a FDA requirement that we have to do it in 2 months. We have 6 years of data. I don't know. We have to do it. I don't know how to do it. Let's sit down and figure out how are we going to get this. There is a 1 month time that we have to respond to an agency. 6 years worth of data, recalculated, collected all over the place. That night, none of my employee went home until 2 a.m. until we figured out how we're going to do it. One of them had a 10-day-old baby. And he said, no, Mamta, anytime I need help, we were there. You were there. this is the time that our team needs help. We are not going to do it. And so after we decided, just decision making of how we're going to do it took up to 2 a.m. Then it was just one work done, completed, and out the door. So yes, I think that's the difference between men and women. My experience shows.
Right now I work at Gates Foundation in the maternal and newborn child health team, right? And so I feel like it's fairly obvious that that team would be doing much worse without women making the decisions on what technology to fund or what drugs and vaccines to fund, because I have a peer who had postpartum hemorrhage herself. And so when you are looking at technologies, drugs, vaccines that could help with postpartum hemorrhage, she has hand experience of like what it feels like to be a woman in that room with all of the knowledge that she has with the PhD and working in this field, and still not getting the care and almost dying in her own labor. So she can make a lot better decisions. She can ask a lot more informed questions before Gates Foundation decides like a new technology needs to be invested in. Right. So that I feel like is a very obvious place where there need to be more women, and now there are. But in like engineering, you do simple things, right? Like my old team, we were working on this like new consumer electronics sort of wearable device type thing, and the guys had built up a prototype and then they wanted everybody to try it. And because I was the only woman and my hands much smaller than everybody else, I was like, I can't do this interaction that you want me to do with the device because my thumb doesn't reach it. And they were like, oh no, women have really soft small hands, this is not going to work. Right. So like you just need
Real
women to
world
be
experience, correct.
exactly, because otherwise you're just designing for only half the population.
Amazing. In fact, yeah, again, there's a lot of research on this. And yeah, that many devices, many, drugs are tested only on men. And, and that is why and some of the drugs don't even kind of have the same effect on women. So you're absolutely right that,
Even diagnosis, right? Like heart disease and what it looks like in women is completely different, and the diagnosis methods don't work to detect it in women. And my team's first reaction when I was like, oh, my hand doesn't reach it, so I can't do this interaction that you've designed for this product, was like, but you are small, so you are the defective population. And I'm like, no, no, that is 50% of the population. So their initial reaction wasn't that we misdesigned it, it was like she is the problem.
hearing firsthand your experiences, again, what comes to mind is that it's been, like a journey of resilience and constant drive to push the boundaries. If you were to get a superpower to help you overcome the challenges you faced, what would it be?
In our culture, it says, it's a Gujarati, "Je kar jurave paranu te jagat par sashan kare." So the person who actually, use the bassinet to make the child sleep is the ruler of the world. I think that's my power. Motherhood has been, and I'm also an elder sister. So my motherhood started when my parents were working and I was 6 years old, has been my superpower. I'm very thankful that I was able to do what I want to do and then still continue to give. Right. And so I know I've seen a lot of people, a lot of women that struggle all their life and have nothing to show. So I'm really, really grateful to whoever power you believe in, that you can work hard, but not everybody gets reward. I did get reward, so I'm really thankful for that.
Thank you, Dr. Hunt. It's so inspiring. And I think what resonates with me is also like, yes, you converted those challenges into opportunities. So you didn't bemoan your, whatever situation, you took it head on. And you have a heart full of gratitude. So I
Yeah.
think that is the trick. Yes.
Yes,
So you don't need, you
absolutely.
are a super person already, superwoman.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Indira. Yes.
I'd say the superpower that you have or you need, and I think you will find it in every person who's been successful, man or woman, is grit or persistence. Right? I think I've talked about this before. Things will get hard. The ability to stick with it and not abandon it when it gets hard, I think is one of the most important things. If you stick with it through the hard part, at the end, the reward is so much sweeter because now you have self belief. that's going to stay with you forever, and you will be willing to, climb higher mountains. And if you abandon it when it gets hard, you fall in your own estimation. That's the worst. You cannot replace you falling in your own estimation with any type of hedonistic joy. So you got to stick with it when things get hard for your own sake, and it success follows.
Yeah, so what I hear is that, of course, both of you said that you have to persevere and the going will get tough. And especially when you want to do something, and that is where the joy comes from. Yes. Also, what I hear from both of you is there's no shortcut. So no super, like there is no band-aid solution or no wishful kind of a thing. You have to, work hard and you have to prove, not for, I think, others, mostly for your own self, because you deserve and you're meant to, and you're no less than anybody else. So that is what I hear from both of you. And so I wanted to also ask that for women, young women who are pursuing a career in science, what kind of advice would you have?
Well, I think what I would say is that believe in yourself, right? I think my greatest gift was self-confidence. I learned at a very young age. My father gave me that. So self-confidence. And yes, there was a time for 12 years when I was in an abusive relationship that I had lost it, but I had it in me. And so I pulled it out and so I don't let other people say who you can and cannot do, right?
So I'm a strong believer of anyone can achieve anything they set their mind to. So yes, you have ability, and I think everyone does. And the only reason anyone believes that they can't do something is because they haven't tried hard enough. When you're trying to figure out whether what you're pursuing is futile or not, right? It got really hard. Is it worth it or not? I think that's a good place to lean on mentors, to ask people who've been there, done that, is it worth it or not? I usually find that in such situations, my mentors and friends will remind me that, hey, it's a good thing that it's hard. It means everybody else can't do it. I feel like the field of engineering, especially because you're making things, is the most creative field in the world, right? Because your creativity isn't limited by your means. It's almost like you can make whatever you want to make because you have the tools. It's like your paintbrush includes electronics and software and plumbing and whatever you want, right? So I would say anyone who feels like I am a creative type person and not a science type person, um, there's nothing more creative than engineering. It's the closest thing to magic.
Thank you. These were valuable insights. So I think, Indra, you did talk about leading on your mentors. Where did you find the most meaningful mentorship connections, and how they, how the younger? So this we are talking now for people, who are younger, and, so how would they find those most meaningful connections, mentors, and how can they approach that search today?
So originally, when I was young, I found mentors at work. However, as I became older, I found in my family. My husband became my management mentor, and after he passed, my sister is my management mentor. Just yesterday, I was dealing with a difficult employee, and I sat down with my sister and I said, "Here is my thought process. What do you think?" So basically, what I'm trying to say is there are mentors, there are people that has experience all around you. Find the topic that you need advice in and ask it. There are people that knows more than you everywhere around. You might know something more about something, but there are other things that you don't know. So look around you and find whenever you can. That's my advice.
That is actually really good advice. I feel like my husband and I, we're in similar fields, and we discuss difficult situations at work every day, and I feel like we make each other a better person at work, because you're kind of working solving every crisis situation with the head of two people. But I would say if you're young and you're looking for sort of senior mentors at work, I think Mamta ma'am also mentioned it is a two-way street, right? Um, I think the sort of empty networking doesn't work well. I have never found it work well, where you're just like, give me an introduction to this person and I'll go to this person and be like, please become my mentor. or you have to show drive first. So you have to have like a vision, a direction, a thing that you want to do. You have to show that you have drive, you have capability to go there, because a mentor wants to help you if you are going to help yourself, right? So make yourself that person that people want to be part of your story and want to help your story grow. But like, you've got to stand out on your own first.
Wonderful. And the second question I think most young people would have is that, like, especially in when they face moments of doubt or, some barriers. So how do they, persevere in their ambition and also personal well-being?
In Indian culture, we are supposed to know it all. We're supposed to have the only answers, especially being an elder sister. They will come to me and I have to know the answer. The most important lesson I learned in America is you don't have to know everything. You just have to know where to find the answers. Ask around, get help, love yourself enough to feel that failure is not an option, and you'll overcome that. I think first time when I had to say I don't know but I'll find out was really humiliating for me. But then life became so easy.
I am also the oldest of like 9 cousins. So, elder sister, and I feel like everybody was like, Didi knows how to do something. It's, you think about where you were like 5 years ago, right? When you started on this path, and you almost count like your accomplishments, and you realize that if you were capable of that, then you are capable of doing more. And then if you have mentors, whether that's like, senior people at your work or people within your family that have good advice, because they're better at something than you are, definitely talk to them, right? Don't be alone.
Thank you both. These are very valuable insights. And what I also hear from both of you is, in simple words, enjoying what you do and commitment to serve. So I hear that from both of you, a passion to make a difference in the world, having an impact. So which I hear from both of you. And I think that is what, again, brings joy into our life. Yeah. So thank you, both of you, Dr. Mamta and Indira, for sharing your stories and wisdom with us today. Your journeys highlight not just personal times, but also illuminate the paths for others to follow. So as we close, I'm kind of many kind of thoughts that I can kind of think about. That one is that yes, there has to be a ecosystem. Ecosystem needs to be there to kind of foster and nurture the talent, and which includes mentorship and institutional support. But I think it is the personal drive and passion and resilience, and the spirit to not give up, the spirit to, and the confidence. And I think one thought that had Mamta ma'am had shared, that when she said that, when the chips were down, that, you literally kind of pulled it out of yourself, like it was not giving up. It was a decision you made to not give up. You created that hope for yourself. But here you are both, not only have you made, kind of a huge difference in your own professional field, but, you are there to inspire so many. And I know that I'm so inspired today with just listening to both your stories. And to our listeners, I would like to say these are not just inspiring stories, they are blueprints for action. Whether you are a young woman contemplating a scientific career, a mentor, or an institutional leader, today's conversation offers both challenge and invitation to create conditions where brilliant minds, irrespective of backgrounds, can flourish and manifest their highest potential. So thank you everyone for being there. And of course, please join us. Next time, we will continue exploring voices that reshape the scientific landscape. Until then, remember that today's questions lead to tomorrow's discoveries, and that every barrier that is overcome opens new frontiers of knowledge for all of us. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Thank
day
you very
and take care.